of God Wine, and we are in South Lake Union now. So today we're going to talk about marketing for startups. And so, John, why don't you tell us what Hand of God is?
Well, actually, we have a website called handofgodis.com.
Oh, okay.
Because we get that question all the time. It's funny, here we are in South Lake Union, and we are conveniently located between the Christian Science reading room over here and Koffler's Catholic bookstore, and right in the middle is this thing called Hand of God. So it's kind of Divine Street, which is 9th Avenue in South Lake Union, and we often get people coming in here saying, Hand of God, what is that? And while we haven't done a Bible study here at the Vood, which we'll show you in a bit, we have done a lot of wine-paired meals, and Hand of God is my startup, pardon me, after being in the startup world for some 20 years. I decided to once again be on the other side of the table and do another startup. Yeah, well, it has its moments.
Exactly.
And so Hand of God was something that happened when I went to Argentina on a trip for pleasure 7.5 years ago, and I fell in love. I mean, for those of you following my Facebook or my Twitter, you'll often see me post pictures of these gorgeous 20,000+ foot Andes Mountains, and at the base of those mountains lies my little vineyard of about 50 acres.
Oh, wow.
And I knew how tough the wine business was, and it is tougher than that. And so here we are 7 years later, and we have launched approximately 17 weeks ago. It took that long to grow, produce the wine, and get it to this country. And now we're in about 6 states, and I'm a door-to-door salesman. I literally am out there carrying boxes and going door to door, and sometimes successfully, and sometimes not so successfully. But that's where Hand of God Wines is, and I do this. This is what I do now. People often say, what a nice hobby, or what a labor of love. Well, this is it.
Okay.
And I think about it when I go to sleep. I think about it when I wake up, and I'm here 7/24 working on it.
Okay. So let me jump into the marketing topic.
Sure.
So when is a good time for a startup to start marketing its product? Like, is that something they have to think about even before they start working on their product, or at what stage?
Well, classical marketing is partly the brand positioning and partly getting the word out about the product, but part of marketing, of course, is finding out what consumers think and doing market research. And so I don't know how you can possibly start a company without doing marketing at the very, very beginning and testing ideas, testing positioning, testing pain points, and really seeing where are the needs and where are people willing to pay for those needs to be met. And so I think marketing in a classic sense needs to happen on day one, if not before you even start a company, so you're confident. In my case, people often say, well, you know, wine. My positioning is quite different. First of all, I think in the Argentine premium boutique winery category, it's a mouthful. What's that mean? In wines from Argentina that are collectible wines that are in the range of, say, $30 to $70, there are not very many players. There are not very many options. Mm-hmm. And I think my feeling in going into this was that we could create both a wine that was different and allowed people to see the possibilities of what could come out of Argentina and compete on the world stage with that product, but also create a wine and a brand that allowed people to connect to it in a way that they wanted to be part of the story for the next X number of years. Because most wines are just not memorable.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do with this place, the Vood, which we can show people, is to create context, to create theater, if you will, to create connection to our product that's in this bottle. So, because there's lots of wine. Wine in some sense is generic.
Right.
And so we're trying to degenericize the product. So for us, I'm going to get back to your question. For us, our marketing started 7 years ago.
Wow.
Both in what we thought the market was interested in, but also in building anticipation and awareness of what we're coming out with. I have been told over and over and over, wow, you've only been out a few weeks? Seems like you've been doing this a long time. So the market, if you go out and say, have you ever heard of Hand of God? I have a surprisingly large number of people who think they've heard of it, which is great. And now I get to fill in the backstory with trial and product story and hopefully connection.
Right. So also start thinking about marketing from day one as you start thinking like what your product is and where does it fit, and try to come up with a story how to make your product stand apart. Because like this,
Not just the story, right? But
Yes,
clearly the story has to fit to what people's needs are, but also the right product.
exactly.
I wasn't going to come out with another $20 Malbec. The world has way too much of that.
Because I just go to the grocery store, pick some, and I don't realize. That's true. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's both creating the right product for the market, but then helping the market understand based on what you've heard and felt and seen where it fits in to their roadmap as well.
So John, what do you think? How much time should the startup spend on marketing in the initial stages, or when they're working on their product?
Well, I think it's so interesting. Often I will tell a startup it's all about sales, right? At the end of the day, you've done your marketing, you figured out what the market needs,
Right.
You've created the product the market needs, and then you got to sell, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
One of the things we thought about in how much time we spend in marketing, we thought about what could we come up with that was enough of an image, enough of a moment in time that in some sense we're always going to be marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it's this moment. People often say, what is Hand of God? And as I said, I have that website, but the reference point that often makes people smile is when Diego Maradona in 1986, decades ago, handballed against England.
Oh wow! I didn't.
And because there was no instant replay then, the ref didn't see it, although almost everyone in the stand saw it. And afterwards they said, Diego, that went off your hand. He said, no, that went off the hand of God. And so what happens for me with this picture, with the memories of that moment, with the storytelling, is that I have in my back pocket a marketing tool I can always use. Right? And so for me, it's fun because I've created now a way for me to have a conversation. Right? And so in some sense, I'm always marketing because of this. Right? But it also allows me to see people's reaction. I literally have people have a physical reaction when they see this or when they hear the story.
Right.
Right? And so that's useful feedback. I actually had people who said to me in the beginning, I won't work with you because I don't like the name. The name offends me. The name seems arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have a chance to talk. The name is provocative intentionally.
You have a story to back it up.
Right. And so what's interesting for me is I get to have a conversation. For me, some of the most interesting products in the world are those products that allow me to engage with them beyond being the product. Yes, I want you to try my wine. I think it's really good wine. The critics have really liked my wine. But I think it's more than just that glass of wine. Right?
It's the whole story.
We want to take people to Argentina. This is a moment of amazing passion in Argentina.
Right.
Those Andes are Argentina. Eating beautiful steak with our wine is Argentina.
Yeah.
Right? And so, there's some selling there, but there's also creating.
The whole experience around.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that was a good tip on working around the whole experience for the product, having a really good story to tell for the product. So the other question which always lingers in startups' mind is when do I go hire a marketer, or do I need to go hire a marketer, or just like go do the social marketing? Like what will be your tips for startups?
Right.
When do they hire, or do they hire a marketer?
Well, it's always hard to do generalizing around these marketing questions, right?
I'd say it was a trick question.
It was a trick question. But, I think about it for my own startup. First thing I think about is bringing in someone from the outside. They will never have the same institutional knowledge, if you will, of the story, of the history. I can teach them to some degree, but I've been to Argentina 25 times. So they're not going to feel it in the same way that I feel it. And the other thing I think about is what are the areas that maybe, and skill sets, that maybe we need supplementing, that we need help with. Ultimately, I like to bring these things in-house, but you can't, we're a team of 3 people right now, okay? So we're a startup.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So maybe my knowledge around direct email marketing or social media marketing or analytics, right, or isn't what it needs to be if we're going to do direct-to-consumer campaigns. So there are appropriate times to look at your skill set and to be thoughtful. Well, for us, we want people to buy our wine from our website and through direct-to-consumer, what's called direct-to-consumer. So I'd much rather have you buy it directly from me than go to a store just because I have a relationship with you and my margins are different. So that's my strategy. So if that's my strategy, do I have all the tools available to me to fill out and run that strategy? That's how I think about it. So I think a startup has to think about it in that way. What are they trying to accomplish? How do they execute on it? Do they have the skills in-house or not?
Okay.
If not, over time, do you want to bring those? If they're so essential, do you want to bring them in-house? I mean, what's interesting is, I didn't mean to do this, but this is Evita Peron. This is Eva Peron. Talk about the face of Argentina. Talk about if you want, the cover girl for Argentina, this is it, right? In some sense, she was brand marketing for Argentina.
Right.
Right? I mean, how many people don't know Don't Cry For Me, Argentina? Right? I mean, some people would say Madonna helped propel it. But the point is, here you go. You've got the person that represents the brand. Right? And so, again, whether it's Maradona or Evita or Che Guevara, try and think about, I didn't hire these people, but sometimes you get access if you can associate.
Right. Okay.
Right? I'm still waiting for Justin Bieber to tweet out that he loves Hand of God wine, but we haven't gotten that yet.
That would be great, yeah. Nice. So bringing in the marketers at the right time, do not just wait for the last minute, like just to put the fire down, just go hire a marketer. That's okay, perfect. Cool.
I don't think so. I think it's got to be part of a well thought out strategy and planning.
Perfect, cool. Well, that's John, the founder of Hand of God Wines. Thanks, John, for sharing your perspective on marketing, and thanks for having me over here.
Well, let's go have a glass.
Oh, perfect. Thanks.